would be disturbing to the people that live next door. And the police perspective, that we are the enforcers of the rules, and irrespective about how we feel about it, that we feel duty-bound or obligated somehow to respond and try and rectify the situation. Versus, what I understood to be the African perspective, that you have a party and people come and it's just, even though we in the American culture seem to think we value freedom so much, you still have to wear your seatbelt. You have to drive a certain speed. You can't have your stereo so loud that it disturbs anyone else. So there was definitely, I think, a contrast.
We also talk about communication in the neighborhood. We having party. Let the neighbors know when you're having party. Let them know. You have to know your neighbors. Let them know you're having a party. And let them know, get them when you're going to start a party, and all that, so that your neighbor will be able to kind of call you up. Because most times, the neighbors pick up on the call police. So if you're in good record with your police, with your neighbors, if you have good rapport with them, you'll be able to help you out.
There was something that we found to be a common thread.
I would disrespect my sleep. That's why the police is there to enforce laws. So before we can even get to laws, creating laws to make a community livable, there must be respect. And then with that respect comes with understanding why I do things the way I do it versus the way you do it. And then once you do that, there's a level of tolerance that must come along with your understanding and your respect that makes the circle complete. Because and tolerance may be, whereas you're doing it the way you're doing it, I understand it, but I don't accept it, but I must tolerate you because we're in a community together. And then it ties back to, I will respect you even though I do not agree with what you're doing. So fundamentally for question one, we across the board is respect, basically. And then for question two, what neighbor means in the culture. For us in Liberia, and I even gave a group example of me having about 80 aunts. My aunties are so many, only because they live next door to my mom, and I can't say Victoria, I say Aunt Victoria, and it follows along and it goes along. So a good neighbor is a concept of extended family. And if I can see you family, I do you no harm, I look out for your interests, I take care of your kids.
Livable. I envision a world that my neighbors take care of me or look after me, my interests. And speaking of a world like that, I think of humanity. And our community is part of humanity. And whatever happens to me as an individual will affect you as my neighbor, will affect family members, and will eventually affect the entire world that we live in. So I proceed by answering the question. The number one question is, describe what a livable community means to you. And everybody here, we can agree upon respect, we can agree upon security, but for our group specifically, a livable community is resourceful, it is secure, and it's fearless. We want a community that is not contaminated, that is healthy, that has hospitals or school buildings or youth programs for our youth and our children, where the crime rate is really low. We want a community where our human needs are met. We want a community where people should know each other, communicate, get engaged, inquire. Don't be judgmental of somebody's views or background or race or color of skin or the way they look, or their appearance. You want to communicate, you want to interact. Even if you don't know the person, and maybe the person way that you don't identify with, don't be so judgmental right away. Interact. What are you wearing? What, where is that from? You want to inquire before judging the person. That's what a livable community is. Security, fearless, resourceful. The second question is, what is being a good neighbor? The first thing is we said that a good neighbor, first of all, you have to be respectful of others' views and perspective, their values, religion. You have to be respectful. You want to be compromising. You want to associate yourself with your neighbor. You may not agree with what they're doing, but you want to compromise because we're all individuals. You know, there's individualism. We are different in our own way, shape, or form, but we can still communicate to respect each other's, you know, perspective or way of life or whatsoever. Being a good neighbor, you may want to assimilate a little bit. If you're something differently, now that you're in a new culture or a new community, you want to assimilate in a way, not losing all of your values and being and your cultural heritage, but you want to assimilate in order to abide by the law and do what's right, so everybody is at peace. The next point is getting to know your neighbors. Like I said, if you're having a party, a gathering or whatsoever,